Welcome to our deep dive, and today we're going somewhere a little different, a little unexpected.
Different how?
Well, we're still exploring the unexplained, the stuff that makes you go, huh, what was that?
Yeah.
But today is less about ghosts and more about the people who chase them.
The ghost hunters themselves.
Yeah.
Getting meta, are we?
Exactly. We're diving into this book, The Tantrum Effect, by Alicia Silver, and it's fascinating. It's about this, well, almost a culture clash within paranormal investigation.
Culture clash, huh? That sounds juicy. Lay it on me.
Okay, so you've got this whole field dedicated to the unknown, right? Things science can't quite explain yet.
Right. Ghosts, UFOs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but what Silver noticed is that often there's more drama and infighting than actual, investigating. Like the personalities get in the way of the mystery.
Oh, I've seen that online. People get really intense about their ghost theories.
Exactly. And that's the tantrum effect, these
Mhm.
emotional outbursts, bashing other investigators online, spreading misinformation. It's like people are more worried about being right than finding the truth.
It's like, who cares if you win the argument if everyone's too busy yelling to learn anything new?
And this isn't just some niche internet drama. This is about how we, as humans, deal with the unknown, how we form beliefs, what happens when those beliefs are challenged.
Deep stuff. So where do we start unraveling this tantrum effect?
Well, Silver traces it back a ways. Like, think about paranormal investigations history.
Yeah.
It started with seances, folklore, that kind of spooky vibe.
Yeah, not exactly seen as like a scientific pursuit back then.
Right. So over time, investigators tried to make it more legitimate, borrowed tools from psychology, anthropology, tried to bring some real methodology in.
Trying to shake that "we just talked to ghosts in dark rooms" image.
Exactly. But then, boom, technology explodes. EMF meters, digital recorders, infrared cameras. Suddenly, everyone's got this high-tech ghost hunting kit.
Oh yeah, that's when those ghost hunting shows became huge. Everyone loved the gadgets.
Like Ghost Hunters Paranormal State.
Yeah.
They brought the paranormal into everyone's living rooms. It was mainstream.
But there's always a but, right?
Well, that mainstream attention, it came at a cost. Suddenly, the focus was on entertainment, not just investigation. Producers wanted those dramatic moments, those scares, even if it meant,
Stretching the truth a
it
bit.
came more than a bit sometimes. Imagine, you're an investigator, got a camera crew on you, and you're in a supposedly haunted spot for hours. There's pressure to find something, anything, to make it worth it.
So instead of just observing and collecting data, you're almost performing for the camera.
Exactly. And that's where the line gets blurry between genuine inquiry and, like, putting on a show for ratings.
And then social media comes along and it's like throwing gasoline on a bonfire.
Oh, tell me about it. Everyone's an investigator now, posting their evidence online. It's great for accessibility, but it also creates this echo chamber where anything goes.
And people get so invested in their online persona, like, I'm the ghost expert, I know best. Any challenge to that, boom, tantrum time.
Because online, it's not just about the evidence. It's about your image, your followers, right?
Yeah.
Like, admitting you're wrong can feel like losing the game.
And to be fair, we're all susceptible to that a bit. Everyone wants to be right, to have their beliefs confirmed. But in paranormal investigation, where the evidence is often shaky,
That need to be right can lead you down some pretty twisty paths.
it can, for sure. And that's what we're going to keep unpacking. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
There's so much more to explore. Stay tuned because we're just getting started.
Ah.
Okay, so we've talked about how this tantrum effect plays out among investigators, but what about the impact on just regular people? Not everyone's running around with EMF meters, right?
True, but think about it. For a lot of people, their first encounter with paranormal stuff is through a TV show or a viral video, right? And those things, even if they're exaggerated, they shape how we think ghosts should act.
It's like we're primed to expect spooky music, things moving on their own, that kind of over-the-top stuff.
Exactly. So when someone has a weird experience, maybe just a noise they can't explain, they immediately jump to the most dramatic conclusion because that's what they've been taught is normal for the paranormal.
Like, if your only experience with doctors is from Grey's Anatomy, you'd expect every hospital visit to be life or death drama.
And that's where the tantrum effect can seep out into everyday life. Because if you're convinced every creaky house is haunted, you're going to react strongly when someone says, hey, maybe it's just the wind.
Like, imagine someone's whole belief system is built on ghosts being real, and you come along with logic and evidence, it's going to feel like a personal attack.
And that makes the skeptic's job even harder, right? They're not just battling the unknown, they're battling this whole pre-existing narrative that's been fed to us by pop culture.
Like explaining to someone that Bigfoot is probably not real when they've grown up watching those blurry, shaky
Yeah.
documentaries.
You're going to get some pushback for sure.
So how do you approach those conversations? It seems like a recipe for disaster.
Carefully and with a lot of empathy. Remember, for a lot of people, these beliefs are deeply personal, maybe tied to actual experiences they can't explain.
So instead of just shutting them down, you got to meet them where they're at.
Exactly. Listen to their stories, acknowledge what they went through, and then maybe gently guide them towards a more critical way of thinking.
Like, hey, that's a really creepy story, and I don't blame you for being freaked out. But before we assume it's a ghost, let's rule out some other possibilities.
It's about helping them understand the difference between actual evidence and just wanting something to be true. It's easy to see patterns where there are none if you're looking hard enough.
Which brings us back to what Silver calls for. Genuine inquiry.
It's not about killing the fun of the unknown. It's about approaching it with curiosity and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Like, okay, that's weird. Let's investigate, but let's do it thoughtfully.
Ask the tough questions. How do we know this? What else could explain it? Be okay with not having all the answers right away.
Because ultimately, the search for knowledge is more exciting than just clinging to the first spooky explanation, right?
Exactly. It's about the journey, the constant learning and reevaluating as new information comes in.
And that's something both the hardcore believers and the skeptics can get behind, right? This desire to understand the world, even if we disagree on the A to W.
That shared curiosity is where the real magic happens. It can bridge that gap between the people who see ghosts everywhere and those who don't see them at all.
Like we're all on this expedition into the unknown. We might have different maps and compasses, but we can still learn from each other along the way.
And who knows, maybe we stumble upon some incredible discoveries along the way. But even if we don't, the journey itself, that shared pursuit of knowledge, that's valuable.
Well said. It's about embracing the mystery, the awe of what we don't know, while still striving to learn more.
And maybe, just maybe, by ditching the drama and embracing that genuine inquiry, we unlock some secrets that have been hidden all along.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, think about where you fall on this spectrum. Do you see ghosts everywhere, or do you need hard proof before believing anything?
Wherever you land, remember, we're all in this together, trying to make sense of this crazy, mysterious world.
And that's way more fun and way more productive when we do it with open minds and a willingness to share what we learn along the way.
Now, in our final part, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. Silver's actual advice on how to foster this genuine inquiry, both in the paranormal world and beyond.
Stay tuned because things are about to get really interesting. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. This tantrum effect in paranormal investigation, how it affects everyone, not just the ghost hunters themselves. But what can we actually do about it? How do we shift things toward a more, I don't know, grown-up approach to the unknown?
Well, the good news is Silver doesn't just point out the problems, she offers some solutions. The tantrum effect actually lays out some pretty practical steps we can take.
Okay, lay it on me. Where do we even begin to fix this mess?
One big thing Silver stresses is structured investigation. Now, she's not saying we need lab coats and beakers for every ghost hunt, but applying some scientific method can go a long way.
So less running around with EMF readers hoping for a spike, more like having a plan?
Exactly. Go in with clear questions, a hypothesis to test, a systematic way to collect data, and be open to maybe not finding anything definitive.
I can already hear some folks saying, but that's boring. Where's the spooky fun?
It might be less exciting for TV, but it's way more likely to get you actual answers. Think about it. If you're already convinced you'll find a ghost, you're going to interpret every creek that way, right?
Confirmation bias, that's what we talked about. And it sneaks into everything, not just ghost hunting.
Oh yeah, politics, relationships, everywhere. Being aware of our biases is crucial for any kind of critical thinking.
Especially with paranormal stuff, where the evidence is often up for debate.
Oh!
Okay, so structured approach, check. What else?
Knowing your tools.
Yeah.
Tech has changed the game, but it's not magic. Those gadgets have limits, and you got to understand those before jumping to conclusions.
Oh, I've seen so many videos where someone's like, EMF spike, must be a ghost. But those things pick up all sorts of interference, right?
Exactly. Faulty wiring, cell phones, it's about using tech responsibly, not letting it dictate your findings, and being honest with your audience about how it all works.
Transparency builds trust way more than claiming every blip is a spirit trying to chat. It all circles back to honesty, right? Like being a critical consumer of paranormal content.
Oh, huge point. We're drowning in information these days, especially online. Easy to get swept up in a scary story without asking if it's even true.
Those clickbait headlines like "Ghost caught on camera," and you click, and it's just dust or a blurry smudge.
Classic. Silver's like, hey, be discerning. Who made this? What's their motivation? Is there any evidence backing this up?
Not about being a cynic, but having healthy skepticism. If it's too good to be true.
Probably is. And that goes for content WP create too. Sharing your experiences online. Be honest, be transparent, and be okay with saying, I don't know what that was.
Way better than faking it for views, right?
Yeah.
Truth matters more than a viral moment. I feel like this applies to life in general, not just ghosts.
100%. Replace that need to be right with a genuine curiosity to learn. That's how we move forward.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the tantrum effect, it's not about ditching the mystery. It's about approaching it with more maturity.
Embrace the unknown. Don't let the drama distract you from the genuine wonder of it all. Stay curious, but stay skeptical too. Keep asking those tough questions.
And remember, we're all in this together, trying to make sense of this weird, awesome universe.
And doing it with open minds and kindness makes the journey way more fun and way more likely to lead us somewhere truly amazing.